The engine explodes at 28,000 feet while Ayan Malik is watching a movie he will never remember the name of. One moment he is reading subtitles about something romantic and forgettable. The next, the world tears itself apart. The sound isn't loud in the normal sense. It is violent, a metallic scream ripping through the aircraft's body, followed by a concussion that feels like the sky itself has punched the fuselage. The cabin jolts sideways. Someone shouts. Then the pressure vanishes. Air slams outward with a force that steals breath straight from lungs. Yellow oxygen masks cascade from ceiling panels in a rubber avalanche. The temperature drops instantly. Wind howls through gaps in the metal that absolutely should not exist. Ayan doesn't think. He grabs the mask and pulls it over his face. Plastic-tasting air floods his mouth and nose. His hands shake. Alarms shriek in overlapping tones, warnings layered over warnings. The plane begins to fall. Not descend. Fall. The angle is wrong. The vibration is wrong. Everything is catastrophically, obviously, terminally wrong. Through the window, the wing tells the story. The engine is gone. Not damaged. Not smoking. Gone. Ripped clean away. The leading edge of the wing is shredded. Metal peeled back as if something massive took a bite out of the aircraft midair. Debris spirals behind them like a comet's tail, pieces of airplane scattering into the sky. Inside the cockpit, the pilots are fighting. Ayan can feel it in the erratic motion, the shuddering corrections, the desperate pitching. Control surfaces adjusting in patterns that feel improvised rather than procedural. The remaining engine screams at emergency thrust. They're attempting maneuvers that might work in a simulator. That might work with partial damage. But this isn't partial. This is catastrophic. Cloud cover breaks beneath them. Mountains appear. Green slopes. A river carving a narrow valley. Nowhere flat. Nowhere safe. Ayan's rational mind calculates odds automatically. Aircraft don't recover from this kind of structural failure. Physics doesn't negotiate. And yet, the plane is still flying. 30 seconds pass. A minute. The descent shifts from chaotic to controlled, barely. The pilot is stretching altitude into horizontal distance, trading height for survival. Looking for anything, any patch of earth that might not kill them instantly. Impact comes without warning. 1 second Ayan is bracing. The next, the world becomes pure violence. Metal tearing, seats snapping, glass exploding. His seatbelt cuts into his hips. His head snaps forward. His ears fill with a sound beyond comprehension, force turned into noise. The cabin flips. Darkness. Silence. He wakes to stillness. No alarms. No engines. No screaming. Just forest birds somewhere in the distance. He is hanging upside down from his seatbelt. Blood runs into his eyes from a cut on his scalp. His left leg pulses with sharp, electrified pain. The cabin is inverted, or what remains of it. Through the fractured window, pine trees press against torn aluminum. Branches poke through ruptures in the fuselage. Sunlight filters gently through leaves. The world looks peaceful, which feels obscene. Ayan fumbles with the seatbelt and drops awkwardly onto what used to be the ceiling. His leg screams when he puts weight on it, but holds. Not broken. A miracle. He crawls toward a jagged tear in the fuselage, squeezing past torn seats and dangling wires. He emerges into cold mountain morning air. The wreckage rests against a hillside at an angle. His section, rows 28 through 40, has broken away and come to rest separately. The nose is gone. The tail is gone. They are a tube of twisted aluminum improbably intact. And not on fire. Smoke rises faintly in the valley below, likely the front half of the aircraft. Ayan stands there breathing. Just breathing. Alive. 3 hours later, he counts survivors. 11. 11 breathing out of roughly 60 from their section. The injured vastly outnumber the functional. Broken limbs. Burns. Head trauma. Internal bleeding masked behind calm faces. One woman keeps asking about her husband in row 23. Rows 23 through 27 don't exist anymore. Ayan doesn't tell her that. He just says, he's not here. It's true in more ways than one. No one has wilderness training beyond television memory. No one has advanced medical knowledge. Emergency equipment, life rafts, locator beacons, trauma kits, are either destroyed or scattered miles away. They have clothing, a few salvaged bags, a laptop with no signal. Personal items that meant everything hours ago and mean nothing now. Leadership emerges through necessity. Ayan is functional, thinking clearly, so people ask him what to do. He doesn't know, but he answers anyway. Water, he says first. There's a stream downhill. He organizes survivors into tasks. Water detail, shelter reinforcement, medical triage. He speaks with confidence he does not feel. The emergency locator transmitter should have activated on impact. Satellites should detect it. Rescue should be launching. He tells them that. He tells himself that. They wait. Day 2. No helicopters. The valley is invisible from above. They scan the sky constantly. Nothing. Phones show no signal. The ELT is likely destroyed. Waiting begins to rot morale. Fire becomes priority. Ion finds matches in a crushed carry-on belonging to a passenger who didn't survive. When the first flame catches dry pine needles, he nearly cries. Fire means warmth. Boiled water. Signal smoke. Hope. Day 3 brings rain. Cold rain that penetrates everything. An older man with internal injuries stops breathing overnight. They bury him at dawn. Ion says words he doesn't remember afterward. Day 4. 2 more deaths. Burn infection. Brain trauma. The group fractures. Someone questions his decisions. Someone else demands independence. Fear turns into anger. Ion absorbs it, because someone has to. Food dwindles. Airline snacks become rations. Half-melted chocolate cake is divided carefully into equal pieces. Calories become currency. Day 5. Ion makes the hardest decision of his life. Waiting isn't working. The river flows downhill. Downhill means civilization. Possibly. He can't take everyone. The injured can't survive the terrain. Leaving means abandoning. Staying means maybe dying together. The moral math is brutal. He selects 4 of the strongest survivors. They leave at dawn. Promises are made. We'll send help. They don't say what happens if they fail. The terrain is merciless. Valleys that look flat from the air are vertical labyrinths. Every mile costs hours. Food runs out on day 6. Hunger becomes constant background static. They find berries. Risk poison. Eat them anyway. Day 7. One of them can't continue. His feet are destroyed. Infection spreading. Ion leaves him with remaining supplies and a signal marker. They promise to return. They continue walking. Because stopping means dying too. The river widens. Forest thins. A power line appears. Then a road. Unpaved. Untraveled. But real. They follow it downhill. An hour later, a pickup truck rounds a bend. The driver brakes hard at the sight of 4 skeletal figures in the road. Language barrier doesn't matter. He loads them into the truck. Drives to a village. There's a phone. It works. Ion explains through broken translation, coordinates, wreckage, survivors. Rescue mobilizes. But helicopters can't fly mountains at night. Another day passes. At dawn, rotors echo through the valley. Ion rides in one of the helicopters, pointing out the crash site. Smoke-stained clearing. Twisted aluminum. People waving weakly. 7 survivors remain from his section. 4 from the original group that stayed. 3 died while he was gone. The man left by the river survives, but loses both feet to infection. Rescue is triumph and tragedy intertwined. Hospitals feel alien. Clean sheets. White walls. Too quiet. Doctors assess trauma. Psychologists ask about coping. Ion gives answers that satisfy protocols. Not truths. The media calls him a hero. He hates it. He walked. Others walked. The dead are not less worthy. Grieving families demand explanations. Airline investigations begin. Regulators debate safety standards. Ion becomes accessible grief. He absorbs it quietly. Survivors' guilt arrives in waves. The woman asking about row 23. The older man on day 3. The teammate left at the river. Why him? Why not them? There is no answer. Survival was math and randomness. Seat position. Impact angle. Luck. Years pass. Turbulence still tightens his chest. Jet fuel smell triggers memory. He flies again eventually. First flight is agony. Second manageable. Third almost normal. Statistics remain true. Flying is safe. He knows this intellectually. Emotion doesn't always cooperate. He stays in contact with other survivors. They gather yearly. They drink. They remember. They acknowledge being alive without understanding why. The valley remains unchanged. The forest grows over scars. In a century, nothing will mark where 60 people died. But Ion remembers. Always. Now, years later, he sits on another plane. Turbulence rattles the cabin lightly. His hands grip the armrest automatically. He breathes in, breathes out, reminds himself. Most planes land safely. This is probably nothing. Probably nothing. The wheels touch runway. Smooth. Controlled. Alive again. Ion exhales. And for today,